Cars, pickups, bikes, bikers, semis, Teslas, justice, and drones? This episode has it all, so buckle up. This week's first video comes to us from Scranton, Pennsylvania. A Honda driver pulled out in front of our submitter's Audi A4. Even though he honked and swerved, he wasn't able to avoid a collision. Police responded, and so did the owner of the Honda, who turned out to be the daughter of the elderly woman who'd been driving. She gave her mom a piece of her mind, while the cops gave our submitter a ride home. This submitter was driving through an intersection when he watched the Toyota Corolla in front of him get T-boned by a Nissan driver running a red light. Our submitter stopped and gave a copy of his dashcam video to the Toyota driver for their insurance claim and police report. He told us he hopes this footage will inspire people to be more aware of traffic signals. This submitter was turning right from a turn-only lane. Suddenly, the driver of a gray Honda Civic passed him in the straight lane, then tried to squeeze between him and the van ahead of him. Rather than letting the Civic in, our submitter closed the gap. In response, the Honda driver floored the gas, forcing an oncoming pickup driver to leave their lane so the Civic could pass on double yellow lines to go around the van as well. James was driving his Toyota Tacoma at around 70 miles per hour on a Tennessee highway when traffic ahead of him came to a sudden stop. He managed to avoid getting rear-ended, but another driver behind him didn't fare as well. James thinks the driver of a car got rear-ended and pushed into the other lane, where they were then hit again by a semi-truck. We're not sure what happened, but it definitely looks like it was a bad day for everyone involved. Eva witnessed what might be the least secure way to transport a mattress. It looks like 4 people had placed a mattress on the roof of a Nissan, then stuck their hands out the windows to hold onto it while driving. Yeah, that seems safe, especially if just one gust of wind gets under that mattress. Angel was headed home after dropping off a package when traffic on the highway suddenly stopped. Angel slammed on the brakes, but he had to swerve onto the shoulder and thread the needle between a Camry and the guardrail to avoid a collision. Charlie was delivering a DoorDash order when he witnessed a white Nissan rear-end a Chevy SUV, then continue and rear-end a Nissan SUV. Conveniently, a sheriff's deputy was just ahead of Charlie and also noticed the collision, so he flipped around to respond to the scene. After Charlie finished his delivery, he came back and offered his footage to the deputies at the scene, and they were amazed that he'd captured footage of the collision occurring. Charlie was also surprised. He told us this is the first collision he's captured with his dash cam. Austin was commuting to Tulsa on a rainy Thursday morning when traffic slowed to a crawl, and he soon discovered why. Somehow, a semi-truck had gone off the highway before bursting into flames. We can barely see the mangled remains of a black car on the opposite side of the median barrier. We can't imagine how this happened. What do you think? How do you think the semi ended up off the road and the car ended up on the other side of the highway? Post your theory in the comments. Luna was taking his wife to a medical appointment when they watched another driver cross every lane of the highway to reach an exit, then hit a patch of dirt and almost lose control.
Oh my. On South Carolina 277 north for 2 miles.
Luna told us the other driver proceeded to pass traffic on the shoulder and speed well above the 70-mile-per-hour speed limit. He also asked us to shout out his wife Kelsey. They watch every new episode from all the Wham Bam channels. Tim was headed to see his girlfriend when he noticed traffic slowing down, so he slowed down as well. The driver of a Ford Explorer behind him wasn't paying attention and rear-ended his Toyota Corolla. Then, instead of stopping, the Ford driver took off, making this a hit-and-run collision. Tim tried to chase the Explorer for a while, even using the shoulder to get around traffic, but he wasn't able to keep up with the other driver's reckless maneuvers. Eventually, he stopped and called 911 to make a report. Incredibly, the California Highway Patrol was able to track down the Explorer driver. Sadly, he was uninsured, so Tim's insurance covered the $3,500 US repair bill to fix his rear bumper cover. Tim wanted to shout out his girlfriend for helping him examine the dashcam footage and decipher the license plate number, which led to the perpetrator's identification. He said they watched Wham Bam Dashcam and Wham Bam Tesla Cam together, and when the collision happened, they knew they had to send it in. Thanks, you two! This week's Tesla Behaving Badly features not one, but two Teslas. When one Tesla driver behaved badly, the other reacted quickly to avoid a collision. This is just a hunch, but I'm guessing that wasn't autopilot pulling off that moose test maneuver. Don't forget to send us your Tesla Behaving Badly clips using the link in the description.
Okay, Wham Bam Tesla Cam moment.
Dave encountered someone else behaving badly while driving in England. I think he was talking about the cyclist that cut in front of him and made him slam on the brakes, but I want to know why everyone in this entire clip is driving on the wrong side of the road, including Dave. This submitter was on his way home from work when he watched the driver of a Toyota Tundra ahead of him try to jump out of the on-ramp lane and sideswipe a Chevy Colorado. The blue Colorado was spun by the impact and forced up the on-ramp before both drivers stopped. Our submitter also stopped to offer his dashcam footage. Thankfully, there were no injuries. Daniel was driving in Georgia when the trailer ahead of him lost an appliance, sending it spinning into the road.
Oh, right.
The large metal object came to rest in Daniel's lane, but he was able to navigate around it, while the person who'd lost it eventually pulled over. Santiago was about to turn onto his street when a motorcycle rider overtook him on the right, which he told us is illegal in Colombia. Santiago told us he was using his turn signal, but this didn't dissuade the biker from passing him on the right. He slammed on his brakes and honked, barely avoiding a collision with the motorcycle. Manuel was driving with his girlfriend through the middle of Madrid, the largest city in Spain, to meet friends for sushi. While entering a roundabout, they experienced what he called the most common form of accident in Spain. Another driver cut into their lane to leave the roundabout, even though Manuel was using his turn signal to indicate he was continuing through the roundabout. After the two vehicles collided, Manuel and his girlfriend both jumped out to take pictures of the damage. He told us they'd previously had a bad experience after being in a collision without a dash cam. Thankfully, the other driver was very nice, and their insurance claim was handled smoothly, thanks to the dash cam, of course. The car was repaired at a dealership for about $500 US, paid for by the other driver's insurance. Manuel wanted to shout out the dealership body shop. He says they repaired the vehicle perfectly, and they're pleased with the results. Evo sent us another video. In this one, he and his wife witnessed two guys leaving a clothing store with a whole bunch of clothing in their hands. Believing the guys were shoplifters, they called the police and gave them their license plate number before returning to the store and giving the manager a copy of their dashcam footage. Incredibly, the police called them back to inform them that the shoplifters had been caught 4 hours later, and the cops also wanted copies of the dashcam footage for their case against the criminals. Ellie was taking her daughter to a medical appointment when a red SUV suddenly drifted into her lane without signaling, forcing her to the shoulder to avoid a collision.
Seriously?
Ellie honked at the SUV driver, but they didn't seem to react or care as they continued on, still changing lanes without signaling. Ellie and her daughter were frazzled, but she's glad it was only a close call. She said she loves our videos and finally had something to send us after owning a dashcam for a year. Dylan's wife had borrowed his car for the day and left it in a Walmart parking lot. Suddenly, another driver ran into the side of it, leaving a huge dent in the driver's door. The other driver sat in the parking lot for a few minutes, but they didn't leave a note. Instead, they drove away and parked elsewhere in the lot, as if nothing had happened. Thankfully, Dylan was able to get the license plate number from his dashcam footage and provide it to the police. The other driver paid around $450 to fix the damage to Dylan's Ford Explorer. By the way, if you want a dashcam that will start recording if an impact is detected while it's parked, look for one with a G sensor and parking mode. The one we've recommended in the description has both. Our last clip this week is from a different kind of camera. I know this isn't from a dashcam, but it was so cool we had to include it anyway. Also, we don't have a Wham Bam drone cam channel. Let us know in the comments if you think we should. This submitter was practicing filming a moving vehicle with his drone. He was sitting in the passenger seat while his father was driving. Suddenly, the driver behind them nearly hit the drone while driving under it. After tailgating them for a while, the other driver passed them over double yellow lines before cutting them off and speeding off down the road. Somebody should let him know 2 of his 3 brake lights are out.
Wham! Bam, we got a Patreon, man. Please support the show.